Part 27. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 261. Now, I just hope that she can integrate into the class and find her youth in this school. She knew what her father was thinking. Then she was also very grateful for the camera her father gave her. But now I feel that my father did the right thing, because although the mobile phones issued by the school are specially made, the pixels are definitely not as good as the cameras. So the photos you can take are very clear. And she's standing here at the end. Final results are coming soon. Yes. Because ahead, the first one is about to arrive. The first place is Nagamo Masaru. He started first, and his speed is not slow, so he naturally maintains his first place status, but there is Pseudo Takeru less than 10 meters away from him. This is the loser of Class C. Shibata from Class B followed closely behind. Then presumably, number 1 will appear soon. But Sakayanaga's brows frowned slightly. Because something unexpected happened. 10 meters away from Nagamo and 5 meters away from Pseudo, Shibata, who was chasing after him, was suddenly hit by someone like the wind. He fell down in confusion and blocked the road. Blocked on the runway. But even the occurrence of such a sudden incident did not affect the two people who counterattacked from behind and ran quickly. Because the two of them stepped over him quickly without slowing down at all. This is really incredible, Yuzu Sakayanagi complained. She raised her camera because she had been preparing. The camera captured the scene of Shibata from Class B chasing forward. Shibata, a student in Class B, first grade. As the leader of the Itanyanaga sect, Sakayanagi Yuzu can obtain a lot of information without collecting it himself. Among them, the students of Class B are considered to be natural rivals of Class A. Therefore, the students in the class collected the most information about students in Class B. Shibata's physical fitness is very good, and you can often hear voices like Shibata, "You guys are cheating, you are cheating." And he performed quite well. Even when faced with idiots like Nagamo and Pseudo, he did not retreat and pursued fiercely. As a result, despite trying so hard, he turned his head in surprise when he sensed the flow of air being chased by someone, and then fell down because he was confused. Because Horikita Manabu from Class A of the third year and Oreki from Class A of the first year ran quickly behind him. The momentum is not on the same level at all. But he fell down on the track in confusion, and Pseudo-san was also stunned. Because although he tried very hard to maintain his speed and trend, Oreki and Horikita Manabu flew past him. Just like that, passed by him without any pause. As a strong player in sports, Pseudo found that he was losing really quickly. And the first place ahead. Neunya here. Nanyun was only 30 meters away from the finish line. And he also noticed that the super cute freshman Yuzu Sakayanagi from Class A, first grade, raised the camera. Was it aimed at him? Indeed. He is very good now. This is the beginning of a new era. He actually wanted to make such a declaration to Horikitagaku, and at the same time he didn't feel that he would lose to Horikitagaku. In terms of academic ability, he is also quite good, but he is still a little behind Horikita Manabu, but only in terms of motor skills, he will not lose. And since Horikita Manabu is busy with official duties every day, he naturally does not have so much time to train, so his physical decline is inevitable. Nagayunya maintained the first place, moving forward steadily at a speed that he thought was good but already super fast. But there was still no sound of the footsteps of Pseudo, the first-year Class C man behind, chasing after him. Sure enough, he had tried his best. The worries before were overblown. Only a race without a goal or a reference is indeed a bit boring, but the end point is already in sight. Horikita Gakushu also has Oreki Houtarou. Just eat your shit from behind. Although he had not been able to make a declaration to Horikita Manabu before, he just wanted to prove his strength to Horikita Manabu. If Horikita Manabu did not give him the position of student council president, he would take it for himself. At the same time, what Nagamo wanted to see more was, a guy like Oreki Houtarou could only watch him from a distance, and then found that he couldn't catch up. Perhaps because he was in a good mood, his speed suddenly reached its fastest level. Look, do you see it? Super cute Sake Anaga-san. Others are simply not worth mentioning. At this time, the sound of wind being cut came from behind. This is the sound of wind that can only be felt by those with strong physical strength. Neunya stopped trying to fish for a moment, and he didn't want to see who was catching up. He broke out at his fastest speed. Because the end is right in front of you. And if you hesitate, you will lose. Neun will not look back. The referee also quickly announced the result. First place in grade 3 Class A. Second place, Class A, first grade. Nanyun. Nanyun looked at the two figures leaving him behind in surprise. Then Nanyun was helped down by his classmates. Because after he was surpassed, he suffered severe physical discomfort, and this discomfort directly manifested as, his legs became weak. It went soft all of a sudden. Then he waited until he recovered and ran again to the finish line, which was only a few meters away. However, Syudu from Class C of the first grade had already caught up, so he barely managed to finish fourth. But it was true that he was frightened. It was impossible not to be frightened. There were two other people who felt the same as him. Luckily I'm not the last one. Hashimoto-san, who was the first striker of Class A at the beginning, felt that it was embarrassing enough for him to fall down at the beginning. He thought that his image might suffer a big drop, but now he feels that, fortunately, he was only scared at the beginning, instead of being scared at the end. Because the worst one was Shibata from Class B, who fell down due to confusion. It was obvious that he had managed to stabilize his mind, and he still tried his best to catch up even when faced with idiots like Nagamo and Syudu. As a result, he was so shocked and confused that he couldn't get up for a long time. Not only did he block the track, but he also lost his combat effectiveness after blocking it. He was continuously surpassed by two seniors behind him, and finally won the final 7 points. Name. Now he was crying. Only the top 5 will be rewarded with points. In other words, Class B of the first grade will also be rewarded with no points, and will enter the final competition of the grade with a total score of 1,800 points. First grade Class A 1,741 add 90 points equal 1,831 points. Grade 1 Class B 1,800 points. First grade Class C 1,205 add 45 points equal 1,250 points. Class D, first grade, 1,795 points. In the competition, the score of grade 1 Class B was second. In the class that takes first place in the comprehensive score will be awarded a class evaluation score of 100 points. Add 100. Class evaluation scores for classes that place second in overall scores will not change. Add 0. The class that ranks third in the overall score will have 50 points deducted from the class evaluation score. Minus 50. A class that ranks fourth in overall score will have 100 points deducted from the class evaluation score. Minus 100. Class B won second place, so the class evaluation score will not change. But in the red-white confrontation, as the white group, Class B lost. In this way, first grade Class B received nothing in this sports festival except a minus 100 class evaluation score. Then, the optimistic Shibata classmate suffered severe psychological trauma because of this. How miserable! Hiri Shiina, the student from Class D who made the prophecy in the first place, was thinking in her mind. Chapter 107 Sakayanagi, do you know, Oreki-san. There is a hypocritical genius in this school. The 1,200-meter relay race ends. The top 5 have been confirmed. The referee is making an announcement. First place in grade 3 Class A. Second place, Class A, first grade. Third place, Class C, first grade. Fourth place, grade 2 Class A. The fifth place, Class B, grade 3. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 262. The total score of the ranked class will receive bonus points, and the data of the red and white groups will also be updated. And the results are already showing. In the center of the playground, a huge LCD screen displays the current scores of the red and white groups. From the beginning, the red group AD Alliance, 17,800 points, and the white group BC Alliance, 14,400 points. Became red group, AD League 17,985 points. White group, BC League 14,045 points. No miracle occurred, and the white team still lost. But this has nothing to do with Oreki-san and the others, because they are in the red team. And this result is in the plan. At the finish line, Oreki-san also met Sakayanagi Yuzu. This super cute little Tyrannosaurus Rex. But Sakayanagi-san is not in an offensive state now. She did come to take pictures, with a camera hanging around her neck and a towel. The towel is probably not the one provided by the class but her own, because the color is light blue. The free ones provided in the class are white. Seeing Oreki-san coming over, Sakayanagi handed over the towel. "Thank you." Oreki-san looked at him and said. After taking it, he wiped his face. "Nowhere, I also saw a very exciting scene and got a reward." Classmate Sakayanagi's voice was still so pleasant. "But it's not just Itaiji-san who's here," Horikita Manabu also looks over. "He won first place. But he seemed a little unhappy." "Speaking of which, you should let it go," Horikita Manabu said. "Why do you say that?" Oreki-san knew that Sakayanagi Yuzu was still here, so he adjusted his words. "I have tried very hard to keep up with the president, but in the end I am still a little slow." "This is different," said Horikita Manabu. Horikita Manabu's mood was not bright, when Shibata from Class B, first grade, fell down and blocked the track. "You kept a constant speed when you crossed his body, and you didn't even make the final sprint. In other words, I didn't react at first, but you used the same speed throughout the whole process. In other words, this is a race, this is a competition, but in the end, you don't have the final sprint stage. So Horikita Manabu is a very dangerous person. The other party's observation skills are as good as those of Horikita's sister." And Oreki-san did let off steam. Not only did he not accelerate, but he only ran at the observed speed of Kojinji. This speed is already very scary in the eyes of others. So I don't even think about whether Oreki-san is fishing for money. But Horikita Manabu leads the entire class, and is also known as the best student council president in history. If it is a light novel or anime, then it is used as the top panel for the protagonist to show off, so it is okay to make a fool of himself. Not surprisingly. So you can gain insight into it. Forget it. Seeing that Oreki didn't respond, Horikita Manabu gave up and continued asking. However, he smiled unexpectedly. "I agree with you this time," he said, "but if I didn't have more time to train because I became the student council president, then I wouldn't necessarily lose to you." This line already shows that he tried his best in the race just now, but Oreki-san did not try his best, so he defaulted to losing. But just listen to what he has to say. Because those who lose always make excuses to say so. Also, let me tell Suzune that I allow her to continue living in this school. But I also want her to hone her interpersonal relationships, brother Horikita added. This also shows that Horikita-san actually wanted his sister to stay while he was still in school and could take care of her at first. Then when he graduates, he may also ask his sister to drop out of school too. But now, I feel like my sister has grown. Then maybe you don't need your own protection, but you can look forward to her continued development and so on. And this is what Oreki-san hopes Horikita-san will misunderstand. So Oreki agreed. Congratulations to your president. And just saying that, Horikita is also under pressure because he has to face his classmates who have seen him show his strength for the first time. And Oreki-san is here. Sakayanagi Yuzu curled his lips. Sakayanagi Yuzu's face was expressionless. Oreki. Oreki-san knows. Our class's total score has been increased by 90 points. It seems that we have won first place. We also won the red and white competition. Our class can add 200 points to the class evaluation score this time, Oreki-san said. It has distanced itself from other classes again. Yes, I am very happy to be a member of Class A. I feel happy all over my face, Yuzu Sakayanagi said. As the leader of the Banliu faction in Class A, she has no interest in the score of 1200. So it turned out to be the case. She found out that she had been deceived into thinking that Oreki-san had shown his strength. As a result, it has been leaking, and it is still super leaking. But Oreki-san is also in despair. Because if you really want to compare, then there is no way to compare. Oreki-san is using the speed of Kojinjiro Kusuke, but his own has exceeded human limits. And what are human limits? That is, like a miracle. In other words, the distance of 200 meters would have flown out in less than 2 seconds. But, speaking of which, what the student council president said just now is a bit strange, Sakayanagi said. Is your relationship with Horikita Suzune already so good? And he seems to be entrusting his sister to you in a serious manner. Oh. Then you should continue to ask him if he has released the water first. Oreki-san doesn't want to face this problem now. For him, precognitive dreams allow him to know the future. The future is a great victory for lawyer Horikita, but Yuzu Sakayanagi is not considered a loser. At the same time, he was also often troubled by his emotional life. Because he can't identify who he likes more, so who is the true love? But I definitely don't want to face it if we make a fuss now. Oreki-san looked around and saw that Kamuro-san had also arrived at the finish line. You did a great job in the previous fifth shot. You exceeded your limit. You shortened the distance by 5 meters, Oreki said. Kamuro-san, I look at you differently. Kamuro-san looked over strangely. Because? Didn't he say these things before? Why say it again? There was also Sakayanagi beside him, who seemed to have an unhappy expression. But at this time, not only Kamuro-kun, but also other students in the class came over. I'm shocked, but also very happy. Oreki-san, thank you for bringing this crucial 90 points to the class, Katsuragi-san said. Our class needs an extra 100 points in the class evaluation. We have distanced ourselves from Class B again, Katsuragi-san said. For students in Class A, there is nothing more reassuring than this. Continue to maintain an absolute advantage. I think this is the result of the joint efforts of everyone in the class, and Oreki said. However, because other students also gathered around him, Sakayanagi-san could not continue to speak. It was a temporary relief. Next door was Seudo, who finished fourth. Seudo. Excellent performance. The first place is a junior, the fourth and fifth place are all seniors, you can get the third place, we really shine. The atmosphere in Class C is also very good. And that's where Class D's base camp is. The first place is the student council president. The second place is Oreki. If we play those guys, it's definitely not going to be fourth or fifth. So, abstaining may be the best thing. At least we got points. Long Yuan has arranged for Jintian to share the living expenses of 10,000 yuan for each person first. Everyone's life this month can be dealt with. The atmosphere in Class D is also very good. It can be said that the atmosphere in all classes is great. Except for one class. There is a class of students who are not at the finish line or base camp, they are on the track. Well, because of my mistake, our class lost 100 points. And Shibata is still on the track. Shibata-kun. The classmates around him were comforting him, there's nothing we can do about it. Both the student council president and Oreki-san from class A are cheating. It should be said that Oreki-san is still hiding his strength, which is the most surprising. Almost like the dark horse of class A. We didn't expect this situation. Kanzaki-san also joined in to comfort Shibata. But his wording was actually untrue, because in the men's individual hurdles event, Kanzaki-san was assigned to a group with Oreki-san. Then it was discovered at that time that Oreki-san might be cheating. So it's not that I just discovered Oreki-san is so fast now, but I had a premonition before, so I was nervously watching whether Oreki-san would participate in the recommended event of mixed male and female three-legged. But now I can only use this rhetoric. Because the child Shibata has been crying for 5 minutes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 263. Not only was he frightened, but also because of his mistake, Class B lost the opportunity to receive a 100-point class evaluation score. To know. Oreki-san won second place, so he only got a total score of 90 points. The total score of Class A becomes 1741 add 90 equal 1831 points. The total score of Class B is 1800 points. In other words, at Shibata's time, as long as he finished third, his class still had a chance. At the same time, the chance was quite good, because Nagamo at the front was already weak in the legs, and Houtarou was also stunned at that moment, and there was a gap when he was passed. So if Shibata hadn't fallen down and couldn't get up, there would still be hope for Class B. But fantasies are fantasies. The fact is that first year Class B still failed in this sports festival. Some are happy and some are sad. 20 minutes after the overall competition ended, all students were informed to clean up all kinds of garbage in their class base camp and dismantle the tents. At the same time, the results of this sports festival will be announced in 20 minutes, and the closing ceremony of the sports festival will be held. There is nothing to say about this. As for the announcement of the results, it was actually shown on the huge LCD screen in the center of the playground. The confrontation between the red and white teams ended with the red team winning. Then the class evaluation scores of all red group members will be add 100 points. The class evaluation scores of all white group members are minus 100 points. This is really an incredible sports festival. After watching the 1,200-meter relay race, the 4 first-grade teachers expressed their feelings. The person speaking at this time was Mr. Majima, the homeroom teacher of Class A, first grade. Of course. This time, Class A of the first grade won the sports festival. There was a change in the total physical education scores of the 4 first-grade classes. Class A won first place with 1,831 points. Class B won second place with 1,800 points. Class C won fourth place with 1,250 points. Class D won third place with 1,795 points. So the final class evaluation score changes like this. Class A of the first grade scored 1,801 points add 100, the red and white teams won the confrontation, add 100, the total score of the first grade was first, equal 2,001 points. First grade Class B 970 points minus 100, the red and white teams lost in the confrontation, add 0, second in first grade total score, equal 870 points. First grade Class C, 780 points minus 100, the red and white teams lost in the confrontation, minus 100, fourth place in first grade, equal 580 points. Class D, first grade, 440 points add 100, red and white teams win the battle, minus 50 points, third place in first grade, equal 490 points. Among them, Class A has gained a terrifying absolute advantage. The gap between Class B was close to 1,200 points. The position is extremely solid. I'm afraid that unless the next student council president comes on stage to adjust the test scores, Class A's advantage may be maintained until graduation. Look at it this way. Mashima-sensei is indeed the one with the lightest mood. At the same time, he also had a point card on hand from Oreki-san for 500,000 in hush money. So he was actually in a good mood. Chibashira's class is about to fall as the head teacher of Class D. The digital teacher on the board did not gain any big benefits from this exam. At the same time, Ryuan and the others were bleeding profusely. But the worst class right now is Chibashira's side. Although Chibashira has a lot of bad guys, it cannot be denied that they still achieved the worst results, right? Minus 200 class evaluation points. Then Class B, I'm afraid they won't be able to catch up with Class A. The number on the board said, actually he wanted to express his gratitude to Hoshinomiya Yachie. However, he found Hoshinomiya Yachie giving him a rather cold look, as if the atmosphere was frozen instantly. Well. So the teacher on the board chose to shut up. It is too difficult for Class B to rush to Class A, and the students in his class are similar. He has lost several times against Class A, but he just wants the teacher's salary to increase, so if the class can fly to Class B, then it is also very beneficial to him. And the current Class B is only more than 300 points away from his class. So there is hope. And this time. Beep. This is a microphone test. Speech by the Student Council President Horikita. I am Manabu Horikita. First of all, I am very happy that this sports festival has ended successfully. I am grateful for everyone's cooperation. At the same time. In other words, the closing ceremony has begun. 40 minutes later. Students from Class A, first grade, gathered in a private karaoke room. Because it is an on-campus facility and is open to students, it has a wine and fruit plate and a buffet. Of course, there is no wine. However, the store also provides everyone with drinks in wine glasses, so it looks decent. At the same time, for the students in Class A celebration banquet is also needed. I have been tense since I entered school, but now I can take a break. The gap between Class A and Class B is close to 1,200 points, and this gap cannot be broken once, twice, or 3 times. To put it bluntly, even if Class A performs poorly in the next year and loses every time, it will not fall out of Class A's position. Of course, just saying that. Because there are also Katsuragi-san, Oreki-san, and Sakayanagi-san in the class. No one thought the class would get that bad. Only. Several members of my Itanyanagi faction have retreated, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. She formed a group. Generally speaking, members of the Itanyanagi and Katsuragi factions stay in groups below their respective representatives. And Oreki-san also stayed in the small group established by Katsuragi-san of the Katsuragi faction. As for the students in the class, the total number of group members in the 2 groups is exactly 40. But now a strange behavior occurs. There are only 13 people in the Banliu faction. The Katsuragi faction only has 13 people. There are still 14 people who are neither in the Katsuragi faction nor in the Itanyanagi faction. These 14 people chose to withdraw from the group. And now someone has withdrawn directly from these 2 groups, explaining. There are already people who firmly want to take Oreki-san's route. Even though Oreki-san didn't show any intention of competing for the representative, they were still willing to wait. In other words, class A is still like this. Although the whole thing looks very strong, they are still breaking apart from each other. But, speak of it. The classmates went to sing, while Oreki and Yuri Sakayanagi were sitting on the sofa in the private room. Although Oreki-kun didn't show his true ability. But there is one person who is the same. Sakayanagi Arisu shared the news. Before you went to the island to take the special exam, there was a man who came to a Kyosei high school. Ordinary parents don't have access to the school. Of course Oreki knows this. At that time, he discovered the scene and asked Kamuro-san to follow him. Then asked Sakayanagi Arisu to inform the chairman to prepare. And now that Banlieu is talking about this, does that mean he wants to contribute some news? That's a big shot, Banlieu said. And my father used to be his student. Are you a student? Yes, to be more precise, I served as the other party's secretary. Oh. Then because my grandfather retired, my father took over the position of chairman of Yuchin High School. But when I was a child, my father took me to visit the place where my father worked. And that man owns a special institution, White House. It is similar to the current incubation high school, but it is more targeted than the incubation high school. They seem to want to develop a genius training mechanism to train ordinary children into geniuses. Children ask to leave the arms of their parents when they are very young, and then enter this institution, and then undergo absolutely artificial training, and undergo course training that is much beyond the outside world. Naturally, this is to cultivate ordinary people into geniuses, which is very male and female thing, so the failure rate is very high. But there is only one successful product. And he enrolled with the freshmen this year. Sakayanagi Yuzu said. And I think you've probably figured it out. That's Ayanokaji Kiyotaka from Class C, first grade. He is a genius trained by the White House. And Oreki-kun, don't you want to challenge a genius, Sakayanagi said. In other words, if you want campus life to be enriched, then you want him to defeat the genius, right? Then I'm probably not interested, Oreki-san said. I don't like when things get complicated. At the same time, Ayanokaji has never made any achievements in Class C, and even now he has not shown any talent. Why do you think this is? Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 264. I'm afraid, the ordinary life now is what he wants to pursue. Wants something to pursue? Ayanokaji's father came to the school to get him back, but was stopped and protected by the chairman. But he had to be prepared to prevent the revenge of Ayanokaji's father. This confrontation scene shows that Ayanokaji himself is unwilling to return to his father's side. In other words, ordinary life here is what the other person pursues. I have been staying in the facility and finally got this ordinary salty life, so why break it? It would be better to say that if you provoke the other party, you will be chased by the other party. For energy-saving messengers, this is very troublesome. That's right, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. But his father is not a good person. Father said that the principal of the school has retired from illness. A school has a principal and a chairman. It's all management. And at this point in time, if a principal retires due to illness, it basically means that this position will be vacant. As for the principal, he must be the one Kamuro-san mentioned before. He behaved in a submissive and flattering manner in front of Mr. Ayanokaji. Therefore, it is almost certain that the principal is willing to step down and then, let Mr. Ayanokaji's people come in. So, academy life is going to get complicated, Oreki said. Yes, Sakayanagi Yuzu nodded. Mr. Ayanokaji wants his son to leave the school and follow him back, so probably because of this, the school's various special examinations may be interfered with, and there may even be an increase in the number of withdrawal exams. But just when she was about to continue talking, she found that Oreki-san was concentrating on looking at his phone. It seems that some message has been received. Then I'll leave first, Oreki-san said. Banliu. After leaving the karaoke private room, Oreki-san came outside, but this was a shopping street, and the person looking for him was also here in the shopping street. Students in Class C also had a dinner party. Although they failed miserably in this exam, they seemed to have done a good job in arranging Horikita-san's deception later on. So the cohesiveness of the class seems to have increased. Of course, it's more about celebrating and having a big meal. For the students who were bad at sports and bad at school, they listened carefully during the closing ceremony. Then the school announced the final 10 students with individual scores. In the next round of written examinations, the written test scores of these 10 students in all subjects will be -10 points. Among them, there are 2 first-year students, and the remaining 8 are third-year seniors or seniors. This is really reassuring. However, among these 10 students, one was a first-year student, Itaiji, who abstained from all competitions in Oreki's class, and the other was Takahiraji, who even participated in the relay race, but got 0 points in the individual competition. 2 people are at the bottom. The 8th senior classmate is actually quite interesting. According to the information sent by Kushida-san, these 8 seniors at the bottom are not the third-year students from Class C or Class D who are poor at sports. On the contrary, these are the students from Class C or Class D who are good at studying. Even if they are the type where you can pass the exam even if you deduct 10 points for each subject. Rather, the fact that these seniors are at the bottom is the result of their class choices. The students in the class who have poor grades and poor sports are given some points in the hope that they will be at the bottom. Then protect the classmates in the class. Illustrate. Even if he is in the 3rd grade, even if there is no hope of being promoted to Class A, everyone still thinks that the treatment will be good if he continues to stay in this school. And if you are kicked out of school at this time, your parents still need to pay to study in a new school, and new school uniforms are also a huge expense. So now is the best time to spend some money to help your classmates. But this also shows that everyone is more realistic. And these are the graduates. And now, congratulations to the host for completing the side mission and defeating Nanyun. Acquire special abilities, equivalent exchange. Oreki-san's left hand held an unopened bottle of coffee. But the next second, the bottled drink in his hand had become 500 yen. The convenience of equivalent exchange. And when he raised his hand, 500 yen turned into a tomato. But he didn't pay attention here. Oreki-san felt a little troubled. He deliberately let go of Horikita's brother in the competition. There are a lot of cheaters in relay races, so a little cheat won't be so conspicuous. At the same time, in competition events, as long as the runner-up is not the champion, no matter how strong the runner-up is, it is easy to be ignored. Result: it doesn't seem to be working. The reason is that Kushida-san was able to obtain this kind of information from his seniors so quickly that he would be embarrassed to say out loud, which also shows that this guy is using him as a social partner again. At the same time, the effect is very strong. The evidence is that Kushida asked him to add a few numbers. As a result, after adding friends, these numbers would send some pictures that might be selfies. And these people are very strange. All they send are photos of their legs. And doesn't this mean that even if you take second place, you are still very conspicuous? I'm afraid that in the next week, you may encounter a woman's trouble. But what Oreki just received was a message from Horikita-san. It was her one-on-one meeting. According to his understanding of Horikita-san, dating or private meetings were impossible, so he probably wanted to count the rewards of this sports festival. She got 4 million from Long Yuan, and he still had 10 million from Long Yuan. It really needs to be integrated. But there was a little surprise. That was when Oreki walked out of the private room door and met someone. The other party was wearing black stockings. Chapter 108 Kamuro, you have a good relationship with Kushida recently, did you also infect Kushida with M? Oreki-san met someone. The other party was wearing women's business attire, a white shirt and a black women's suit. At the same time, the lower body is wearing a short skirt. Then she stepped on black pantyhose and high heels. The other person seemed to be on the opposite path to him. And the aisle is not very narrow. 3 people can walk at the same time. But Oreki noticed that the other party seemed to be walking directly towards him. Is something wrong? Oreki-san said, his eyes falling on the other party's awe-inspiring, cold, but pretty face. Chibashira. Fine. Sae Chibashira, who was wearing black stockings, stepped out of the way. She has confirmed that Oreki Houtarou from class A is the man behind Horikita Suzune. But it's also a pity. She has given up on her past long-cherished wish, she just hopes to move forward instead of stopping. So for now, I have no other idea except to serve as the homeroom teacher for Horikita and the others. So Chibashira moved out of the way to let Oreki-san pass by. And sure enough, when I met Horikita's sister, she applied for point allocation. And because of this, the points in Oreki-san's private account were updated again. The sports festival is over. Then it was the weekend, so the students could relax. Normally, Oreki-san is nowhere to be found in school on weekends. Although the all-boarding school has all the supporting facilities and seems very convenient, it is also like a prison. So he usually uses teleportation to go home, and on weekends, he throws his phone in the dormitory and leaves. Read boarding as day school. Except this weekend. Although the time each day has not been long in the past month, he has also been doing the physical training arranged by the class, but for him these are just playing house, not hard work. So I won't want to take a revenge break. However, when I was preparing to go home the night before yesterday, I received a message from Kushida-san. He said he hoped to meet alone at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. Fine. Because he has been having precognitive dreams related to her recently, Oreki-san is quite special to Kushida-san. So I returned to my dormitory at 7:55 a.m. on Sunday. By the way, his cat has been left at Sakayanagi-san's place for more than half a month, so the house seems a little empty. Although I am not a cat lover, I still want to pet my cat on weekends. Just after returning to the dormitory, Oreki noticed that there was a message notification on the mobile phone placed on the table in the dormitory. A phone call seemed to have been made at the same time. The message belonged to Kushida, and the phone number also belonged to Kushida. It seemed like he was asking about his plans for today, whether there was any store he wanted to go to, and so on. Then she found out that he didn't reply, so she made a phone call, and when she wasn't answered, she sent a message saying that she wanted her to make the arrangements herself. He also asked if there was any movie he wanted to watch. Oreki. This scene made him feel a little strange. Because it's very similar to couple activities in light novels or anime. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 265. Oreki didn't think Kushida-san would do such a thing. Rather, she hates these actions because she wants to be friends with everyone. Because it will make her lose fans. At the same time, I am convinced by the statistics that after dating in high school, only less than 15% of the success rates will last until marriage in the future. And just as Oreki-san was checking each other's information, the doorbell of the dormitory rang. And it seemed that he pressed it several times in succession. After a moment of confusion, Oreki tilted his head. The students in class are very self-disciplined and usually don't disturb him too much, so this behavior is a bit strange now. However, Oreki-san walked to the entrance, opened the peephole and looked out, and was surprised for a moment. Then he opened the door. "Good morning, Oreki-san." Standing at the door was a little angel. He was wearing his own casual clothes, but he had a strange aura that was different from his uniform. Quite cute. Not only that, it can even make your heart beat faster. Because the person outside the door was not some strange boy, it was Kushida Kikyo. On Friday night, I obviously agreed to meet together, but Oreki-san hasn't responded to my messages since yesterday. You thought I was disliked by you. Then, the little angel extended an invitation to him. Occasionally, how about going on a date together? This is a sudden development. As the first man in Yuchin High School to collect 20 million points, he was also the first man to redeem 20 million in cash. Oreki-san is not stupid enough to know that he is quite popular. Especially her delicate appearance seems to be deeply liked by some girls. At the same time, after the end of the sports festival, the number of times he received attention also increased. And there are more strange photos sent by the senior students. In the beginning, it was just an occasional real name private message on Taiba, and I was often harassed by some strange people. However, as Kushida made friends, some senior students also obtained his contact information. Then I will send some weird photos. Most of them are on the calves and feet. At the same time, I don't know what they were thinking, but they also rolled up their feet, from ordinary bare feet, to white stockings, black stockings, pantyhose, short socks, stockings, milk tea. Like a pervert. And Oreki-san thought it was because Kushida had no choice but to send him the outrageous photos, and then he was in a bad mood and wanted to make him feel uncomfortable as before. Result. Now, take the initiative to invite a date. Are you sure? Oreki said. I can't return the photos you sent me before. After all, you are too out of touch and need to be restrained. I hate it. Kushida-san winked cutely. But his face seemed to have cooled down. Can you please stop mentioning that photo? My shame exploded that day and I finally deleted it from my brain. Can you please stop reminding me? Oh. Suddenly he entered the state of Kuro Kushida. And this is probably because there is no one else around. So, although he thought her behavior was strange, Oreki-san agreed to her invitation. In this way, the two of them headed to the shopping street together. But Oreki still underestimated Kushida's popularity. In the eyes of outsiders, this little angel is quite dazzling. When he went to the street with her, she was hit on by people from time to time. Hey, Kikyo-chan, since you haven't got a boyfriend yet, then go out with me. A male student approaches her and speaks sweet words. This kind of scene has also been seen on the ship after the preferential treatment test. So how would Kushida-san respond? Ahaha, although I haven't got a boyfriend yet, people like me are not that popular. She chose to be modest and then, declined. Although she responded with what seemed like social rhetoric, the reality was that she was popular with many boys. No matter who she interacts with, she has a gentle and clear attitude, so she is also very popular with girls. This is the characteristic of the girl Kushida Kikyo. Sorry, Oreki-kun, I get talked to like this a lot. After politely rejecting others, Kushida-san smiled bitterly as if he was troubled. This is probably true. Because Oreki didn't think the boy he just struck up a conversation with had any potential that could attract the attention of the girls around him. That's just a boy from Class D of the 3rd grade. He has no potential and no money, Oreki said. No, but Kushida-san corrected him, I'm just not that popular. Oh. Oreki has seen this state before. When Archangel Ichinose was confessed by Chihiro Shiraka, her classmate, her polite refusal was similar to this kind of rhetoric. Saying that you are not worthy of being liked or something like that. So no matter who expresses love, they may reject it. But Oreki doesn't think Kushida and Ichinose are the same kind of people. At this time, they walked outside the outdoor coffee shop together. The waiter had just come over to ask about the menu and was already carrying a tray to prepare it. So he and Kushida sat down opposite each other. So what's the truth? Oreki asked. Through precognitive dreams, we can know that this Kushida sister is a very kind person. I still have a lot of obsession with Horikita-san. And the approach is also very Ellie. So how could it be a real little angel? Haha, Kushida-san smiled. Because his back was to the street, and there was no one else here besides them, Kushida-san suddenly returned to his true cold demeanor. That kind of trash doesn't even take a good look at himself. It's really disgusting. I've rejected him twice, can't he be more attentive? Do you know that a girl's polite rejection means she hates you so much? And that kind of trash is in the 3rd grade and will graduate soon. If he wants to date me at this time, you can tell his intentions at a glance. Take a look. This is the truth. Oreki-san calmly drank the coffee bought from the convenience store and complained in his heart. So, the reason why you came to see me today, Oreki-san decided to get to the point, it's definitely not about dating. Well, Kushida-san's expression was still darkened. I just want to confirm that after this sports festival is over, you will not pursue anything. Profound. It turns out that this is what I was worried about. Oreki put down the latte jar. After the confrontation with Ryuan, she revealed her intention to drop out of Horikita-san, and for this matter, she would rather be a traitor, and then rejected Horikita-san. Although later I had to collaborate with Horikita-san because of the incredible recording. Among them, Oreki also told her that he wanted to marry Horikita Susan in the future. Therefore, she felt that the matter of her teaming up with Ryuan and the others to injure Horikita Susan would end like this, and she was a little uneasy and worried about being retaliated against. But the fact is, neither Oreki-san nor Horikita Susan pursued her further. But after 2 soothing days, she still felt unsettled inside. In other words, now he finally understands his fear and confirms his attitude. By the way, are you the fearful type? Aren't they all reckless and rush out to finish things first? However, I have also experienced situations where the other party had an idea and asked him to press his fingerprints, and then went to the library to check the relationship between fingerprints and clothes. So it fits her character quite well. If one were to evaluate Kushida, it would probably be the type where Pinkarikuro, who thinks he is smart, is actually a little fool. It's been a day since the sports festival, right? Oreki-san said. If you want to pursue this, you would have dropped out of school yesterday. This is really a direct statement. And this also shows that in Houtarou Oreki's heart, the woman Horikita Susan is indeed quite important. Snort. But this statement cannot reassure Kushida. And I also received your photo, Oreki continued. So I won't do anything to you. Kushida. It seemed that this rhetoric could not reassure her. Oreki. You must know that the 4 girls in Longjayuan's class immediately called to beg for mercy as soon as they got the photos. In the end, do you still feel that this level is not enough? You have to know that even Horikita-san, who is a straight girl, went from blowing the other person's head off if her photo was shared indiscriminately, and then turned to kneeling down and begging for mercy. Then, looking at her expression, Oreki-san could only say, it's just that what happened this time was really bad. So then once a week became twice a week. Is this a punishment? Then you can't go back on your word, Kushida-san replied quite seriously. You can't add anything either. That is to say, sending a photo of herself showing her shame, she really felt it was not enough. And then you need to be punished. And such punishments are aggravated. Not only was she not angry, she felt relieved. Under the attention of Oreki-san, this Kushida classmate returned to her angelic face that was kind and gentle to people after the store clerk brought her milk tea. In other words, this is really a feeling of peace of mind. Oreki. Speaking of which, how is your relationship with Kamuro-san in my class? Oreki asked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 266. Kamuro-san. It's pretty good, Kushida said. Oh. He said it was fine, but during the sports festival, he directly called Kamuro-san a dog. Then your relationship is indeed very good. But Oreki had already noticed it. Kushida-san's current behavior, I'm afraid he doesn't have tendencies. When reading novels, I saw that girls in the same dormitory have their periods very close to each other or even at the same time, and Kushida may have become because he had more contact with Kamuro-san. Kamuro-san, you are truly a sinful person. And number 1. After the sports festival ended, the students returned to their normal study life. The ship enjoyment, the island exam, the privileged person exam, and the training for the sports festival, etc., are all over. Morning. Oreki-san arrived at the class, but he was holding his cell phone. Click on the account on your student ID card. Name, Houtarou Oreki. Student ID, 100-861-0010. Class, Grade A, 1st grade. Private account, 48.421500 points. It's still a point that makes people feel like they don't need to work hard. Then click on the transfer information. 201,000 private points are credited to your account transfer party XF10001. This is the school's transfer information at 7 o'clock on the 1st of every month. And every student in class has it. After all, the class evaluation score has risen to 2001 points. But one transfer was also updated. Because he had never received so few points. So I watched it twice. 1. Private point is credited to your account. The transfer party is unknown. There are also notes below. I won't support you anymore. He receives this kind of information where the transfer party is unknown once a month. Because that was the message from the sponsor senior sister who could not predict even in dreams. Era Allah, how pitiful. Oreki-kun only received 1 point this month. It seems that he arrived in the classroom early today. His neighbor, Sakayanagi-san, quietly took out his textbook and said, Oreki-san seemed to have shown his strength at the sports festival, which was quite eye-catching. Logically speaking, it should be a place that makes your sponsor, senior sister, happy. But now it seems that he was abandoned by the sponsor, the senior sister. I guess it's a talent that discovered other potentials. Then you chose to support someone else, Sakayanagi-yuzu said. She and Oreki-san were seated very close to each other, so she could see the screen of his phone. And Oreki didn't make any cover-up, so you can see the transfer point of 1 on the screen, and then you can also see I won't support you anymore, words. Maybe Oreki-san said. Is it such a calm reaction? Yuzu Sakayanagi seemed a little curious. Yet Oreki nodded. Because the sponsor, the senior student, had never been masked, and at the same time, Oreki tried to have a precognitive dream related to the other person, but to no avail. Then it must be fruitless in the future. So maybe now, the other party has cut off contact. And that might be a good thing. Because a message from Hui was received on the phone. The girl in my class seems to be very interested in you and wants to confess her love to you. Please come to the corridor on the 1st floor at noon. But it seems that after the sports festival, Oreki-san ended up attracting a lot of attention from girls. Because there was no cover, Sakayanagi-yuzu also paid attention to the content of the message. Maybe, of course it could be truth or dare or something like that, Oreki said. But even if it is a confession, I will refuse it. I don't think there is any benefit in dating in high school. Just studying is enough, Oreki-san said. Oh. After receiving useless information, Sakayanagi Arasu went back to reading. The Divine Room. She noticed that no one was looking at her, so Kamuro-san continued reading. Good morning, you are also very energetic today. At this time, a man in a suit and leather shoes walked in from the front door of the classroom. This was their class teacher, Mr. Majima. And now this time is the class meeting. Teacher, every time the exam is announced on the first, will there be an exam this time too? At this time, a boy sitting in the front row suddenly raised his hand and said. This is Katsuragi's follower Tatsuka Yahiko-san. As a student in Class A, you will indeed pay more attention to special examinations related to class evaluation scores. However, the current gap between Class A and Class B is 1,131 points. So Class A has an absolute advantage. Because the evaluation scores of the four classes are as follows. Class A, first grade, scored 2,001 points. Grade 1 Class B 870 points. Grade 1 Class C, 580 points. First grade Class D 490 points. You know it well. Teacher Majima looked directly at him. Next is the final exam. You have nearly a month to review, and then there will be a small test to prepare for the final exam. Profound. It's time to take the final exam. The admission period was in April, then May, June, July passed, and now it is August. I have actually been in school for 5 months. But it can be seen that Mr. Mashima is in a good mood. He said. First of all, I have to praise you. I haven't been a class teacher for a long time, but I also went to this school in the past, so I have a richer understanding and knowledge of this school. There has never been a class like you who can receive an exceptional award from the board of directors, and there has never been a class like you who has obtained and maintained such scores at the end of the first semester. Value. And now. Announcement of special exam rules for this month. There will be a final exam at the end of this month, and this time there are new rules for the exam. The school will not issue the papers. It will be you who will issue the final exam papers. Shall we come out? This statement made Katsuragi-san, who was sitting in the middle seat, also join in the question. Yes. Our school gives students considerable autonomy and freedom. But when Mr. Majima came over, he brought a stack of papers. He handed out the papers. This is a sample question prepared by the school for you. You can complete this paper and then calculate your own scores. Because there is a rule that can be said to be special. For this exam, you will be paired up with someone in the class in pairs. This novel rule attracted the students' attention. When Oreki-san discovered that the teacher said that the two of them would form a team, Kamuro-san at the table behind Sakayanagi seemed to feel a little relieved. In other words, she felt that if she could choose her own pairing, then as the dog of two people, she would definitely be assigned to team up with him or Sakayanagi, so she felt at ease. It seems that Kamuro-san probably didn't know that his academic ability was actually very impressive even though he was surrounded by top academics. Probably because of the possibility of being confessed by a girl after receiving the letter from Megami, Oreki-san's moral integrity is not very stable. So some random thoughts. The exam rules have also been revealed by Mr. Majima. This pairing will challenge the final exam in the form of a life community. There are 8 subjects in the examination, each subject has a full score of 100, and each subject has 50 questions, totaling 400 questions. All of these questions are multiple choice questions. And each subject will have a minimum standard of 60 points. If any subject fails to score 60 points, both partners will drop out of school. And this 60 points refers to the total score of the two partners. For example, if Oreki-san and Sakayanagi Arisu form a team, and Oreki-san writes down his name, and then gets 0 points on the test without doing any questions, then Sakayanagi-san will be safe as long as he gets 60 points. In other words, as long as there is one top student in the team, the other one can be a bad student. And this kind of thing. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 267. The students in the class didn't respond. After all, everyone is a top student. And Oreki-san yawned, but it had no effect on someone like him who casually got perfect scores. As for Sakayanagi-san, there is also a penalty of -10 points for each subject in the next written test for being in the bottom 10 in the sports festival. But she didn't look worried. Probably because I am confident that I can get 90 points in every subject. However, this plan is too simple, so the school also made it more difficult. Teacher Mashima then added, if the total score of two people's subjects does not reach 700 points, they will also be counted as failed. Then if they fail to meet this requirement, both parties in the team will drop out. Mashima-sensei said. And this is the exit exam. In the previous old exams, there was a plan to fail and drop out of school. And now it's the double partner dropping out. Mashima-sensei. Oreki-san raised his hand and said. Is this special exam the same as in previous years? No. Teacher Majima glanced at Oreki-san, this was specially suggested by the principal. It seems so. The new principal is here. Oreki-san glanced at Sakayanagi Yuzu. Classmate Sakayanagi had previously provided information that Ayanokaji's father wanted to take Ayanokaji back, but was stopped by the chairman. But the other party will definitely not give up, so it is very likely that they will add their own people. The principal, who wanted to lick each other, took the initiative to retire from the hospital just to make way for him. And now look. This exam seems to be okay, but it can also be regarded as problematic. One course is worth 100 points, 8 subjects is worth 800 points, and since there are 2 people, it is 1,600 points, so it is not difficult to get 700 points. But if your partner is a bad student and gets 0 points in every subject, then your teammate who is a top student will need to get an average of 88 points in each of the 8 subjects. How demanding! And if the top student fails to do so, because of the matching relationship, the bad student she is paired with will also drop out of school. If they fail to display their advanced skills, they will be expelled from school together because their fellow students are unable to display their abilities. That is to say, this is a genuine community of life. How to choose a partner is also a very important lesson. As for students in Class A or Class B, there are many academic masters, so there is no need to worry. But for Class C and Class D, which have poor hardware equipment, it is a devil. And this is the new principal's proposal. In other words, the other party wanted to force Ayanokaji Kiyotaka to drop out of school. Because they were paired up and then dropped out of school or something like that, maybe they were trying to plot against Ayanokaji. But this kind of thing has nothing to do with him and he won't interfere. And with that in mind, Oreki-san looked at Sakayanagi Yuzu. However, Sakayanagi-san seemed to be thinking about something more unpleasant. I wasn't listening to the test questions at all. Chapter 109 The Sudden Arrival of Love, Sakayanagi, he won't fall in love. Go. Sakayanagi-san was not listening to the question, but Oreki-san was listening to the last rule of the exam. The content of the assessment this time is only at the level of the 3rd grade of junior high school. At the same time, as I said just now, the examination is not issued by the school, but by the class. 8 subjects, each subject has 50 questions, all of which are left to each class to set their own questions. In other words, you will be asked to think about and create the questions for the final exam. The test questions will be assigned to one of the 3 classes other than the one you belong to. You can give the papers you produce to Class B, Class C, or even Class D. This test is also related to the class evaluation score. You prepare the 8 subject questions yourself, and before that you can challenge one of the other 3 classes. The 2 classes will give each other questions and compete for scores. The class with the highest total class score can take 50 class evaluation points from the losing class. And here's where it gets a little interesting. The two classes gave each other test questions and then compared their scores. There are many actionable links in this. For example, if they ask each other questions, they can naturally reveal the questions to each other. This ensures that students on both sides will not drop out because they know the answers. But there are many problems. For example, is the other class trustworthy? What if the other class betrays? Memorize fake papers, causing a large number of students in the class to fail, and then even the students with good grades were kicked out of school. It's a very scary thing. At the same time, it's August 1st. Then you need to decide which class you want to fight against in 3 days, and then submit the test papers for the enemy class at the end of the month, that is, on the 24th from 6 a.m. to 17 p.m. The time span was interesting, and the classes needed to be made against each other quickly. However, it takes a long time to finally give the other party the question, so it is okay for some variables to appear during this time. However, the class evaluation score for this exam is very low. Only the winner gets 50 points from the loser, which means that the gap can be shortened by 100 points. Certainly. For Class A, which has a gap of nearly 1,200 points in class evaluation scores with other classes, this test cannot shake them even a cent. Then there's only one question. Teacher. The steady Katsuragi-san also raised his hands and stood up. What if the content of the question is something very tricky? Is this a biased question? Okay, Katsuragi-san asked. The hardware accessories of the students in class A are very good, and almost no one has a score below 50, especially the simple content from the past third grade of junior high school. So if you don't read, then everyone in the class can reach 60 plus to 70 plus with their eyes closed. At this time, we teachers need to take care of things, Teacher Mashima said. He knew what Katsuragi-san was thinking, so he said, if it is a tricky question, then it will not be accepted. At the same time, if this kind of question appears, the other class will not be able to come up with questions that comply with the rules in time. The school will use backup questions. The content of the backup questions is relatively simple, Teacher Mashima added. Probably the kind of thing a kid would do. Profound. In other words, if you come up with tricky questions, it is equivalent to destroying yourself, because the enemy class will get points from the school. I understand. Katsuragi-san sat down after receiving the result. Because this means that this exam will not be stressful for Class A. Because everyone's academic ability is not low, there is basically no chance of failing. The only problem is that the other class deliberately created difficult problems and the plan for tricky questions was blocked by the school. So this exam is very safe for Class A. Then, Oreki-san glanced at his seatmate. Sakayanagi Arisu stared at the blank exercise book. There is no action. It seems. This aggressive little Tyrannosaurus Rex still looks completely indifferent to the outside world. As expected, Sakayanagi-san was not listening to the question. But just now, he had already discovered it. This exam actually has an uneventful answer. And this can only be discovered if you see through the purpose of the exam. First, let's analyze the assessment content of the exam. The assessment is based on 8 subjects in the 3rd grade of junior high school, which is completely separate from the current class content. At the same time, students are still required to write papers for each other. Don't you think it's strange? Having students write their own test questions can increase students' control capabilities, but it also gives students the opportunity to freely use their own test questions. So, since we are writing each other's papers, can't we also share the questions with each other? And this is the shortcut to the exam. This crappy school likes this kind of thinking that carefully examines questions and then allows smart people to get the best solutions. So this is a safe and sound solution. Think about it from the perspective of being able to share questions with each other, then you can go through difficulties with enemy classes, ask each other questions, exchange answers with each other, and then pass each other. So although the question this time was not stated clearly, it was probably group interest collaboration. Only. This condition is based on the fact that the enemy class will not rebel. You can't trust schools like Ryuan because they may give fake test papers. The fake test paper will cause a large number of students in the class that the other party has not prepared to drop out of school, and this result is more tempting than any benefits, so they will definitely betray. So can anyone still believe it? Some. Just like Hanamichi knows from Class B her character and the characters of her classmates are the wonders of this school, a holy mother. You can see it during the sports festival. While most people would refuse Class C's request to be released, they chose to agree. In other words, the final total score of their class in the sports festival was 1,800 points, and this was the result of the classmates giving up on several events for the students of Class C. If they did not abstain, their score might be 100 points higher. And this score may allow them to win directly in the sports festival. So, Ichinos and the others actually lost the chance to win because of the virgin from the beginning. But, undeniable. Such people are very trustworthy. So the best answer for this exam is to discover this and then challenge Class B first. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 268. The academic ability of Class B is not as good as that of Class A, and there will still be a small number of people with poor academic ability, so they are united and do not want the students in their class to be expelled. In this way, just give them the option no one will drop out, and they will even offer it without any cost. But, for Class A, there is no point in choosing Class B. Because even if Class B is not a virgin, everyone can still pass. In this way, for Class A, Class C can be chosen. Because there is an agreement between Class A and Class C in the Kojima examination. At that time, Horikita-san and his class had to pay for the living supplies of Class A, and then Class A would receive 800,000 personal points into their account every month. This is considered selling points. Then let Class A take the risk. As a member of Class A, Oreki-san also needs to pay 20,000 points every month. He doesn't like taking money out very much, so he can eliminate this move at this opportunity. As an adjuster, he can just tear up this contract. At the same time, mediation fees may also be charged. During the previous sports festival, the sports scumbags of Class C gave out 4 million points. And from the school's preferential treatment test, they should still have 4 million. And Oreki-san is not an over-the-top person. He doesn't say he wants to harvest the 4 million again, but it's okay to take away the 2 million. Just enough 50 million for his account. Although I am not a miser or anything like that, saving money does become a bit addictive. And his current account. Oreki-san clicked on his student ID card. Name, Houtarou Oreki. Student ID, 100-861-0010. Class, Grade A, First Grade. Private account, 50.931501 points. Alright. Because the transfer voice was turned off, today's share of Class C's class evaluation scores were transferred, as well as the points of Ichino's class. Then Longyuan Bankian paid back 1 million of his 3 million. 50 million has arrived. I took another look at my account. Oreki-san continued to think. But now I'm not thinking about money. Class C has too many academic scumbags and sports scumbags. If you are nominated by another class, the follow-up may become cumbersome. And the girls who have a relationship with him are also gathered in Class C. As for Sakura-san, she has been helping a lot recently. And her physical fitness is not very good. During the sports festival, She was one of the candidates who needed to be released by the little angels of Class B. So I submitted the fee of 133,000 to Horikita-san. And now academically, it's not very good either. So do I have to continue spending money on this? Oreki-san cares about the other person's favor, not the other person's money. At the same time, it is also conceivable that if Long Yuan class names Class C, then it will basically need to collect money to exchange test papers. On the day the sports festival ended, Ryuan returned him another 1 million. So I still owe him 3 million. In other words, the Ryuan class is in debt, but it also hates being in debt. Then I will definitely want to see if I can make money in this exam. So if Oreki-san doesn't strip Class C naked because of his kindness, Ryuan will also want to strip her naked. And that's when the girls came to ask for help. He is not a person who likes to deal with things after they happen. How is your academic ability? Oreki-san sent a message to Kuruzawa. You ask me this, do you think your class should be named Class C? It will explode. Their class is probably announcing the same exam. In terms of study, I could still get 100 points in the exam before elementary school, and then in 5th grade Kuruzawa replied. Profound. In other words, Kuruzawa-san's grades in elementary school are still good. But he was asking about his current high school grades. And if you talk about your grades in elementary school, then your current studies are probably terrible. Oreki thought about it briefly. Mashima-sensei, then Oreki-san said. Can our class be the first to declare war on Class C? Class C, teacher Mashima said. Yes, as long as you submit it to me, it will be accepted immediately. And the other side? The same exam rules exploded in Class D. That's what this special exam is like. You need to nominate other classes, and then you and each other will give each other questions and then take the test in pairs. 2 people form a team. The total score of each subject of the team must not be less than 60 points, and the total score of the 8 subjects cannot be less than 700 points, said the digital teacher on the board. Otherwise, both members of the team will drop out of school. Long Yuan, XN. Almost as soon as the teacher announced the rules and understood what the rules were talking about, some of the students in the class started to commotion. Then he quickly looked at Long Yuan, who had also collected their protection fees as usual today. There is no way around this. Because most of the students in the class are clueless about the written exam. What if we give them difficult questions for a class like Class A? As for the questions that were not very difficult, they were ordinary questions. The academic ability of their class was not good. Long Yuan himself was also a poor student, and the students with good academic ability were just those few. So it is difficult to learn even if it is a matter of study. Then wouldn't it mean that he would basically fail? So isn't this a pretty bad situation? Long Yuan. And this means that these guys want him to take some shortcuts here? How can it be so convenient? Oh no. There seems to be a shortcut. Because the exam questions are chosen by the students themselves. Then Class D also has a copy of the test questions that its own class will ask, and these test questions may be used as a trump card in exchanges with other classes. Yes. At this time, you can exchange test questions with Class C, who is also a bad student. Presumably those guys would agree. After all, it's okay for their class to be bad, but it's not like they can hold a study meeting and everyone will pass. Rather, if there is no shortcut, it will collapse directly. Only. What do you think of this test question, Shiana? Ryuan had always thought independently before. Although he had a think tank, he basically adopted his plan, so this time, he decided to change it. Because he has been losing these few times, he is now a little reserved. I suggest that we declare war on first-year Class C as soon as possible, Hiri said directly without hesitation. That starts with maintaining the passing rate of our class. This solution is the same as Ryuan's thinking model. But Hiri thought more. Since students are allowed to write their own papers, that means they can share questions with each other. At the same time, Hiri would not be willing to lose a considerable number of his classmates because of such an exam. After all, if there are so few people, wouldn't it be possible to wait for points to be deducted for some special examinations that may require more people? At the same time, although her relationship with her classmates is average and she doesn't have anyone who can be called a true friend, Hiri is quite satisfied with her current class. At least it's much better than Class C. Although the people there are very good at cheating, it is undeniable that many students there are also hells. In this way, she made a contribution. And if you're lucky, maybe, the points on your account can also be increased. After all, the class still owes Oreki Houtarou 2 million points. She also doesn't like owing money. I feel like all my thinking is about money. But if this trouble can be solved first, she is still willing. Moreover, after the preferential candidate exam, Ryuan also said, and then asked the third graders for confirmation, that the school would collect private points from students at a certain percentage when they graduate. In other words, the points you earn now can not only be used as living expenses in school, but can also be used as money when you graduate in the future. So even for her own future, Hiri hopes to save some money. If you are lucky enough to fly to Class A with the class car, you will have a bright future. If she is less lucky, she can save some money. After graduation, her academic ability is good, so she can also go to college and have more living expenses. So Hiri is also taking responsibility for herself and thinking about her future. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 269. In other words, the core of the exam is trading. Ryuan adopted Shiina-san's suggestion. In fact, he felt that he could also choose to declare war on Class B. However, most of the students in Class B are outstanding, while his students are full of scumbags. In bad situation, even the test papers need to be exchanged to the other party. Once you obtain the other party's test paper, this test can still be regarded as an open book test. Then everyone gets 100 points, and then gets a reward of the 50-point class evaluation score. But there is a price, and that is the possibility of breaking the agreement that Class B who takes the Kojima exam needs to pay them 600,000 points for supplies every month. In this case, although it is acceptable, I feel that it is not profitable. In this way, the only ones who can be exploited are Class C. Can we declare war directly now? Long Yuan said. He thought he could take the lead. Of course, the digital teacher on the board said. Then be ready to hold your phone and send instructions. However, the eyes behind the glasses were stunned. Well, maybe it won't work, he said. First grade class A has declared war on Class C. So you can only declare war on Class B. Declaring war on Class B, wouldn't it mean that we can only give up the island's material agreement in exchange for Class B's test papers? So, during the lunch break, everyone discovered that Long Yuan was in a bad mood. The morning classes are over. But Oreki-san didn't go to the cafeteria to eat, he had another invitation. As for his plan to declare war on Class C, no one in the class objected. Class A's execution ability is very strong. But why did you choose to declare war on Class C? Oreki-san. But Sakayanagi Yuzu didn't get up and go to the cafeteria, so when Oreki-san stood up, he spoke to her. Our class and Class C also have a material agreement. As long as war is declared, then they can only make concessions if they want to avoid failing. So the score of this exam is not very high, but it can directly relieve the burden of paying 800,000 points every month. At the same time, according to the style of Class C, even if they are given test papers, their class will not be able to get full marks. This is a reasonable and correct answer. Is it? Itayanaga-san said, I thought Oreki-san couldn't bear it because there are so many cute girls in Class C. Besides, didn't someone say that a girl from Class C wants to confess to you? I thought you were simply shaken at a time like this. Oreki. Oreki. The information I received saying that I was confessed is true, but the exact truth is not clear, so I have to go there, Oreki said. In other words, you can't go to the cafeteria just to answer an appointment now. But I'm pretty sure to. He said. There is no point in falling in love during high school. According to the data obtained, there is only a 10%-15% success rate of dating in high school leading to marriage. In other words, I feel that there is a high probability that a relationship during school days will not work out, so Oreki-san also chose not to try. Then, Kamuro-san, who was sitting in the back seat, noticed that Sakayanaga-san was watching Oreki-san's leaving figure, and stood up while holding his cane. He's really insecure. Generally speaking, that's true. It's just that students don't have much ability to take risks. Graduation basically means breaking up. But that doesn't mean it's absolutely impossible. For example, creating some bonds can still be maintained after graduation, Sakayanagi said. Oh. By the way, why did the topic change to this? Shouldn't they be discussing the benefits of declaring war on Class C and then benefiting Class A? But seeing Sakayanagi stand up, Kamuro-san quickly stood up as well. Because she knew that the other party would definitely ask her to queue up for food. As agreed, Oreki-san came to the corner of the first floor of the teaching building. And he also confirmed the information again. The girl in my class seems to be very interested in you and wants to confess her love to you. Please come to the corridor on the first floor at noon. This is the first one. The person who is interested in you is Sato-san, that is to say, the girl with orange slightly curly hair who usually follows me around. Unlike me, she is a really hot girl, but she doesn't have any bad habits. At the same time, she seems to have never had a boyfriend. Megami gave some information. Then I probably have no choice but to reject her. Oreki quickly replied, how about you reject her for me? This is no good, if I come forward, she will hate her. Megami's messages were responded to very quickly. And she has a somewhat stubborn personality, that is to say, the type that sticks to one thing and sticks to it. At the same time, a few girls in the class also know that Sato-san wants to confess to you, and want to wait and see. The wait and see here refers to whether he is easily flirted with. In other words, after the sports festival, his popularity is still very high, and there are other girls in Class C who are interested in him. But I didn't have the courage, so I watched Sato-san test the water first. Thanks to Kushida-san, Oreki felt that he received enough Shibuya pictures on his phone every day. So, he went to the agreed place. At the corner of the corridor on the first floor, there was a girl standing there. Wearing an orange school uniform shirt. Ordinary shirts are white, but you can change to different colors if you spend some money. Then ordinary girls wear bows, but she wears a small tie. The style is also quite cute. Looking at it this way, Sato-san is actually quite independent and doesn't like to follow the crowd. And she is about the same height as Megami. Although it's a hot girl's outfit, it's really cute. Only, how to face it? For Oreki-san, he has no experience of being confessed to. Rather, it is a subtle feeling. From the precognitive dream, I knew that I was married and even had children. However, now I am a person who can't even confess to being in a relationship. But, although Megami said that, there must be some water in this confession. Because Oreki noticed that there were several people hiding behind Sato-san. If you really confess your love, you don't need so many people. Think so? Oreki walked over. Oreki-san. Sato-san had been looking at the stairs, so he spotted Oreki coming down from the top at the first sight. And she herself came over. Can you please come with me for a moment? Oreki-san. Just now he was paying attention from a distance, but now the other party appears in front of him. Maya Sato is a girl dressed in the same hot girl style as Kuruzawa. But there's something different about raising hot girls in high school. Because they don't wear that kind of scary heavy makeup, and their clothes can actually be said to be cute. If I want to describe it, then the skirts are just right and short, making people feel that their eyes are easily attracted. Of course, this is a bit stressful for him who is not good at contacting girls. However, he still rated Sato-san as a girl who is good at dressing up. So Oreki followed him to the corner of the stairs. Although it's a bit abrupt, the other party said directly, but I want to know if Oreki-san is dating any girls. This is a direct question, one that will penetrate your soul. Bravo! Oreki had already discovered that he had been following the girls who were eating melons. These are the girls from Class C. Moreover, Oreki-san also discovered that Kuruzawa was also inside. No wonder she was asked to help refuse, but she said she couldn't do it. But Oreki suddenly looked back. This action was a bit revealing. He immediately asked the girls who were following him to quickly retract their extended heads. And he also noticed that Kushida-san was also inside. So it's confirmed. Sato-san's confession was indeed attracting attention. In other words, the girls may be playing some kind of punishment game. Oreki immediately had a judgment in his mind. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 270. In fact, there is a possibility that Sato-san likes him just as the literal meaning means. However, Oreki didn't think that the emotion of love would emerge so easily. Just saying that you like the other person because of his appearance, physical fitness, etc., then this is definitely not true love. It was difficult for him to tell which one was his true love, Sakayanagi-san or Horikita-san. But it can be confirmed that Sato is definitely not in true love now. This much is certain. Because Chapter 110 The Sudden Arrival of Love, Sakayanagi, he won't fall in love. Next. Oreki-san quickly recognized that Sato-san was not his true love. Because if Sato-san really had a crush on him, then he shouldn't have come to him today. It's been several days since the sports festival. If his heart was moved at that time, he should have come to him after the sports festival, so the current situation can only be said to be a punishment game with a high probability. Oreki is not very good at dealing with girls, but he also knows that there is trouble in the circle of girls. For example, Kushida often complained and took out the trash. He also said that a single action between girls may shake the friendship or status between each other. Therefore, if it is not handled well, Sato-san may be in a worse situation in the future. Think so? Oreki immediately avoided the correct answer, for now, no. That's it but this answer made Sato-san seem a little happy. So that means you are currently recruiting girlfriends. Can you start as friends first? Exchange phone numbers first. Oreki did not refuse this request. Numbers were exchanged. And the rear. The girls who were watching the melon eating also started their own exchanges. Among the girls who eat melons is Kuruzawa-san, Kayaki Matsushita, Mayuwang, Kushida, and Haruka Hospi. Among them, Kuruzawa-san's hot girl team also includes Shinohara-san. But Shinohara-san is not here. As for Kuruzawa, when he discovered that Oreki-san was also in school when he entered school, he couldn't help but hugged Oreki in front of Shinohara-san. Then the explanation for Shinohara was that they knew each other in junior high school and had a one-sided crush. Then he lent points to Shinohara-san, so Shinohara-san also kept the secret. But this is considered a sensitive person, so Kurosawa did not invite her when Sato-san confessed his love to Oreki-san. So, at least Megami now thinks that no one knows that she and Oreki-san know each other. Then Kiyoya thinks that Houtarou will reject Sato. But now, Houtarou and Sato exchanged mobile phone numbers. Does this mean that Oreki-san wants to develop a relationship with Sato? Matsushita Kayaki asked. Oreki-san from Class A. His full name is Oreki Houtarou. His reputation in Class C is actually quite good. On the one hand, he sold the school's rules information to their class on the first day of school, and on top of that, he is pretty and handsome, making him very popular among girls. I think Oreki-san can be considered the school sweetheart. Matsushita was also one of the 11 classmates who were willing to pay 10,000 points and stay to listen to the information. He is a student with foresight. But as a girl, she doesn't seem to know much about romance. Because Oreki-san gave Sato Maya her number. Does this mean further contact? In other words, there is a drama? No, Kushida-san, who is very experienced in this, said, Oreki-san has a wide network of people, so he often gives his number to others. He probably hasn't realized that Sato likes him yet. Profound. Everyone then recalled the forum at school. At that time, Oreki-san was famous for being blocked by his second-year senior Nagamo because of the part-time job incident and opening a store. It seems like the seniors would send him private messages or something like that. In addition, he is the best student in Class A. Indeed. The communication is very wide. Yes, so the others nodded. But isn't this too cruel to Sato-san? But they heard Oreki continue. Just why do you want to exchange numbers with me? Oh. So this is the real drama. The girls continued to eavesdrop. Well, however, Sato-san blushed. Actually, I thought Oreki-san ran very fast during the sports festival. I can't resist boys with athletic talent. That is to say. Well, I think Oreki-san is very handsome and more stable than Hirata-kun. Anyway, in short, that's probably what I mean. Hirata-kun should be Hirata Yasuke, an all-around man from Class C. He is very trustworthy in terms of academic ability, athletic talent, and coordination. But when Hirata-kun is compared like this, it means, this is a confession. Oreki-san thought the same way. But it's a pity. Because if he hadn't found someone hiding on the stairs, he would have really felt that way. In other words, this is indeed a punishment game. Actually, I also think Sato-san is quite cute. Oreki-san then said, if you want to date a girl, then you must choose a girl like Sato-san. He is a kind man, and even punishment games will not embarrass girls too much. Huh. Sato-san's face suddenly turned red. Because Oreki-san's answer seems to be, mutual love? Oreki Houtarou, this bitch Kushida-san, who was watching not far away, accidentally muttered. Kushida-san, others thought they heard a bad name. Ah, no, I mean Oreki-san actually agreed all of a sudden. I was a little surprised. I thought he was not easy to conquer. Kushida quickly defended. Yes, Kurosawa-san reluctantly spoke. In fact, my heart was almost sluggish. Because didn't Houtarou say that he didn't fall in love in high school? Want to study? And for Horikita-san, well, I don't like him either. But now, when Sato-san confessed his love, he accepted it immediately without any hesitation. And Sato-san has no contact with him at all, right? He actually agreed to the confession of a strange girl? So the word that comes to mind at this moment is scumbag. So her mood was probably the same as Kushida's. He actually agreed to another girl's confession so casually, isn't he a scumbag? Can anyone do it? She felt she had made a mistake. It's also a big loss. Because if anyone could do it, then if she had confessed earlier, maybe such a result would not have happened. everyone, keep your voices down at this time. Sakura-san's new friend Hospi, one of the onlookers, silenced everyone. Because she observed that there seemed to be new developments. In other words, Sato-san, who had rosy cheeks, continued to cheer. Oreki-kun, do you want to date me? Why is this happening? Why however, before Oreki's answer could come, an unbelievable voice appeared from behind them. Sakura, Kurosawa was the first to notice the person who appeared behind them. Yes. The one who appears here now is Sakura Eri. Normally she lives alone, but during the Kojima exam, she was revealed to be a super beautiful girl. Then at the sports festival, I also gained a friend in Hospi. But he is still very afraid of strangers, and he only often hangs out with Hospi Haruka. At the same time, he is also very afraid of Kurosawa. Everyone knows this. But why is she here now? Sakura also looked shocked. Because the information she learned was that Oreki-san had a relationship with Kurosawa in the past, but now Kurosawa-san was actually watching the scene where Oreki-san was confessing his love? Wait a moment. Oreki-san's love was revealed? Sakura felt she had discovered a new blind spot. Don't talk yet because everyone was peeking, so now I had to ask Eri not to attract the attention of the two people in front of him. Eri felt extremely aggrieved. But we have to wait and see what happens. It's okay to have a relationship or something, Oreki-san also responded. Scumbag, XN. The girls who heard the scene were stunned because they didn't expect Oreki-san to agree like this. Really, Sato-san was a little flattered for a moment. Because this is not a punishment game, I will cooperate with you. Oreki-san lowered his voice. No, it's not a punishment game. Sato-san realized that Oreki had misunderstood. Actually, it's just that I like Oreki-san.